Welcome back to the channel, everyone. It's always great to have you here, and today, we've got something incredibly exciting to talk about. If you've ever wondered about the true value of rare coins, then you're in for a treat, because what we're diving into today is a story that blends history, rarity, and an unbelievable discovery. Now, let's set the scene a little. It's the year 2006, and the United States is witnessing a coin discovery that no one could have anticipated. What started as a seemingly ordinary coin in circulation would go on to be one of the most valuable coins in the history of the country. Imagine this: a coin, which is meant to be used as a simple form of currency, ends up being worth more than the price of a luxury home, more than a high-end sports car, and even more than some rare pieces of artwork. And how is this possible, you ask? Well, the answer lies in the incredible rarity and historical significance of this particular coin. Back in 2006, a coin was discovered that would forever change the way we view the relationship between a piece of metal and its monetary value. This wasn't just any coin, though. The coin that we're talking about is a 2006 US cent, also known as a penny, with a twist of fate that makes it a major contender for the record books. A penny might seem like a small, insignificant piece of currency in our modern-day economy, but what happens when one of these coins suddenly takes on a value worth millions? Let's rewind for a moment and think about pennies in general. We all know them, we see them daily, and for most of us, they are just little pieces of copper that we pick up and toss into our change jars or leave behind when we pay for a quick coffee. But did you know that the penny, in certain circumstances, can become one of the most valuable coins you could ever own? That's right. There are rare pennies, and they've fetched extraordinary sums of money at auctions. In fact, some rare pennies have gone on to be sold for millions of dollars. But how did a 2006 penny become so valuable? It all started with a simple error. The US Mint, responsible for producing the country's currency, occasionally makes mistakes. While most of the time, these errors are tiny and go unnoticed, occasionally one slips through that makes the coin incredibly rare. One such error happened in 2006, but this error was different from others. It wasn't a small flaw in the design or a slight misprint. No, this was something that no one could have predicted, and as a result, a single 2006 penny made it into the hands of a lucky person who had no idea just how lucky they were. This penny, unlike most others produced that year, had a significant defect, a flaw in the die that was used to mint the coin. The result was a penny that looked slightly different from its counterparts, and this difference would soon prove to be worth millions. You see, the US Mint regularly creates thousands, if not millions, of coins every year. However, most of the coins made are relatively similar, with only minor differences that typically go unnoticed by the general public. But when a coin with an unusual feature surfaces, collectors and numismatists alike take notice. These enthusiasts are always on the lookout for something that stands out, something that sets a coin apart from the rest. What made this 2006 penny so remarkable was the fact that it featured an unusual characteristic, a feature that was never intended to be on the coin in the first place. It wasn't just the error that made it special, it was the rarity of the error. Out of the millions of pennies minted that year, only a handful of these flawed coins made it into circulation. In the world of coin collecting, rarity is everything. A rare error can make a coin worth exponentially more than its face value. And in this case, this simple penny, worth just 1 cent in theory, was suddenly worth much more than that. But what kind of value are we talking about here? Are we looking at hundreds, thousands, or perhaps tens of thousands of dollars? Actually, no, the value of this coin far exceeded anyone's expectations. As the coin started to gain attention among collectors and experts, word quickly spread that this coin was a potential gold mine. People began hunting for this rare penny, checking their change and scouring coin shops, hoping to come across one of these elusive coins. The more people searched, the more the price of the coin continued to climb. Eventually, experts placed a value on this 2006 penny that was hard to believe: $73 million. Yes, you read that right. A penny, worth just 1 cent in its original state, was now being valued at $73 million. What made this so mind-blowing was the sheer magnitude of the increase in value. A single cent, a humble coin that you could find in nearly every pocket, purse, or cash register across the country, was now worth more than the net worth of many people combined. For those who may find it difficult to wrap their minds around the concept of a penny being worth millions, let's break it down a little. In the world of rare coins, it's not just about how old a coin is or how it looks. It's about its rarity, its historical significance, and how many of those particular coins are out there in the world. If a coin has a feature or an error that makes it unique, it can skyrocket in value. And the 2006 penny, with its unexpected defect, checked all the boxes. This story is a perfect example of how unpredictable the world of coin collecting can be. While most of us may never come across a penny worth millions, it goes to show that even the smallest, most unassuming objects can carry incredible value. For the lucky individual who ended up with this rare 2006 penny, it was a moment of serendipity, a stroke of luck that turned a mundane piece of currency into an absolute fortune. But what does this story teach us? It teaches us that sometimes, value doesn't come from the face value of an object. It comes from the rarity, the unexpected, and the little quirks of history that make certain things stand out. It's not just about coins either. The world is filled with items that we might dismiss as insignificant at first glance, but with the right circumstances, they could be worth a fortune. So, whether you're a casual collector, an avid numismatist, or just someone who enjoys learning about the unexpected stories of our world, this 2006 penny story is a reminder that you never really know the true value of something until you look closely. That penny, with its $73 million price tag, might just be one of the most unbelievable stories in the world of currency, but it's far from the only example of unexpected wealth in the world of collectibles. Coins like this remind us that there are hidden treasures in places we would least expect, and sometimes, fortune favors the curious. Who knows? The next time you pay for a coffee or buy something with loose change, you might just be holding on to the next big discovery in the world of rare coins. So, next time you find a penny on the ground or receive a handful of change, take a closer look. You never know when you might stumble upon a piece of history that could change your life forever. And that's it for today's story. We hope you enjoyed this fascinating tale about the 2006 penny and its incredible journey from ordinary currency to a multi-million-dollar masterpiece. As always, thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next time with more unbelievable stories and discoveries. Until then, keep your eyes open. You never know what treasures might be hiding right under your nose. Next 1996 1-cent USA coins today. Hey everyone! It's fantastic to have you here again on the channel. I hope you're all doing well and are ready for another deep dive into the fascinating world of coin collecting. Today, we're going to be discussing something truly extraordinary, the 1996 1-cent coins that have turned out to be worth much more than just their face value. These unassuming pennies, which most people would pass by without a second thought, have captivated the attention of collectors and investors alike, as some of them are worth millions of dollars. Yes, millions. It sounds almost too good to be true, right? But as we peel back the layers of history and examine the incredible story behind these coins, you'll come to understand just how valuable they really are. So sit tight and let's go on this journey together to explore the history, the mystery, and the immense value of the 1996 1-cent USA coins. Let's start by looking back at 1996. It was a year filled with cultural and historical milestones. The internet was just beginning to explode in popularity, the United States was gearing up for the upcoming millennium, and the economy was showing steady growth. The year 1996 saw the minting of billions of 1-cent coins, just like every other year, but little did anyone know that among these seemingly ordinary pennies, there was something extraordinary, a rarity so rare that it would go on to capture the attention of collectors across the globe. You see, while most people were focused on the more prominent aspects of 1996, like the rise of technology or global events, there was a small yet incredibly important detail hiding in plain sight, the 1-cent coin. The coins, which most people think of as being insignificant, were being struck by the US Mint, as they are every year. But what made this particular year's coins so special was that the Mint made a very unique error that would result in some of these pennies being worth far more than just a cent. In fact, some of these pennies could be worth millions of dollars, but how? To answer that question, we need to delve into the fascinating world of coin minting and errors. Coin collecting is a science in itself, and when it comes to valuable coins, errors are the name of the game. The most common error occurs during the striking process, when the die used to imprint the coin design onto the blank metal planchet becomes misaligned. When this happens, you get coins that have a slightly off-center design or, in rarer cases, a doubling effect where certain parts of the coin's design appear more than once. It's these types of minting errors that can make a coin extremely valuable. One of the most famous errors in the world of US coinage is the 1996 double-die penny, and this is where things start to get really interesting. The double-die penny is an error that occurs when the coin's die is misaligned during the minting process, resulting in a coin that has a double image of the design. This isn't your run-of-the-mill type of error, it's a spectacular flaw that can be clearly seen by the naked eye. The 1996 double-die penny is particularly special because it features a prominent doubling on the word liberty and the date, 1996. This doubling gives the coin a unique appearance, making it stand out from all the other pennies minted that year. The effect is so noticeable that even a casual observer can see the flaw, and that's what makes this coin so desirable to collectors. Now, you may be wondering how such a simple mistake could result in such a valuable coin. The answer lies in its rarity and the condition of the coin. Minting errors are relatively uncommon, and when they do occur, they are usually caught before the coins are released into circulation. However, not all errors are detected right away, and in the case of the 1996 double-die penny, only a handful of these coins were ever produced. The rarity of these coins, combined with the fact that they were never intentionally created, is what drives their value up into the hundreds of thousands of dollars. At the time of its discovery, the 1996 double-die penny was relatively unknown, and only a few collectors were aware of its existence. But as word began to spread about this extraordinary find, demand for the coin grew exponentially. Collectors from all over the world started to hunt for these rare pennies, and prices began to rise. Over the years, the value of these pennies has fluctuated, but at their peak, a single 1996 double-die penny could fetch as much as $100,000 or more, depending on its condition. This is a far cry from the coin's original face value of just 1 cent, and that's the incredible thing about rare coins. They hold the potential to appreciate in value over time, especially when they possess an error or rarity that sets them apart from others. However, it's not just any 1996 penny that is worth a fortune. The condition of the coin plays a crucial role in determining its value. As with any collectible item, the better the condition, the higher the price. Coins that are in mint condition, meaning they have been well preserved and show no signs of wear, are considered the most valuable. Coins that have been heavily circulated, on the other hand, tend to be worth much less, even if they have the same error. This is why finding an uncirculated 1996 double-die penny is such a big deal. These coins are incredibly rare and incredibly valuable. Now, you might be wondering how you can tell if you have one of these rare 1996 double-die pennies in your pocket. Fortunately, it's relatively easy to spot the doubling if you know what you're looking for. The most noticeable feature is the doubling of the word liberty and the date, 1996. If you hold the penny under a magnifying glass or examine it closely with the naked eye, you should be able to see the faint shadow of a second image behind the main design. The doubling can be subtle, but once you know what to look for, it becomes much easier to identify. If you do find one of these rare pennies, the next step is to have it authenticated by a professional numismatist or a grading service. Authentication is essential because, with the growing interest in rare coins, there are always counterfeit versions circulating. An expert will be able to verify the authenticity of your coin and provide a professional grade, which can significantly impact its value. Finding a 1996 double-die penny can be a life-changing event for a collector. But the real beauty of coin collecting lies not just in the monetary value of the coins, but in the thrill of the hunt and the joy of discovering something truly rare. Coin collectors often speak of the excitement that comes with finding a unique or valuable piece. It's not just about making money, it's about uncovering a piece of history and connecting with the past in a way that few other hobbies can offer. In the case of the 1996 double-die penny, this coin is not just valuable for its rarity, it's also valuable for its historical significance. It serves as a reminder that even the most mundane things, like a simple penny, can hold hidden treasures. The story of the 1996 1-cent coin doesn't just end with the double-die penny. There are other variations and other coins from that year that hold value, albeit not quite as much as the double-die penny. In fact, collectors often look at an entire year's worth of coins, including nickels, dimes, and quarters, for potential errors. The market for rare and error coins is vast, and there are always new discoveries being made. Each year, more and more coins are examined, and more treasures are unearthed. As coin collecting continues to grow in popularity, the 1996 double-die penny stands out as one of the most exciting and valuable finds in recent years. Its rarity, its story, and its significance in the world of numismatics make it a coin that will continue to capture the imagination of collectors for years to come. If you're lucky enough to come across one of these rare pennies, you could be holding in your hands a piece of history that could be worth a small fortune. So, whether you're a seasoned collector or just someone starting to explore the world of coins, I hope this video has sparked your interest in the incredible potential that lies in the world of rare coins. The next time you come across a penny, remember that you could be holding something far more valuable than just 1 cent. Keep your eyes open, keep learning, and keep searching, because you never know when you might find your own hidden treasure. Thanks for tuning in, and as always, happy hunting! If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you never miss out on future updates. Next 2015 cent USA coin today. I'm so excited to have you here today, and trust me, you won't want to miss this one. We're diving deep into something that might just change the way you look at your pocket change forever. Today, we're going to explore a particular coin that has flown under the radar for many people, but which is causing a huge stir in the world of numismatics. I'm talking about the 2015 1 cent coin, often just called a penny. It's a coin that, on the surface, looks completely ordinary. After all, it's just a penny. But in reality, this simple little coin could be worth a lot more than you'd expect, even as much as millions of dollars. If you're a coin collector, a casual hobbyist, or someone who's just curious about coins, this is the kind of discovery that could change your financial life. Let's get into why the 2015 penny is so important and how it's become a legend in the world of American coinage. Now, I know what you might be thinking. A penny? Really? What's so special about that? It's understandable. After all, pennies have been in circulation for over 100 years, and they don't usually get a lot of attention. In fact, for most people, they are considered little more than pocket clutter, something you might toss in a jar at the end of the day or leave behind on the counter when you make a purchase. We've all seen those pennies, barely worth the effort to bend down and pick them up, right? But if we take a closer look, it turns out that some of these pennies, particularly the 2015 pennies, have a fascinating backstory that's rich with mystery, rarity, and unbelievable value. To understand the significance of the 2015 penny, we first need to consider the broader context of U.S. coinage. The U.S. Mint has been producing coins since 1792, and it's a huge operation. Over the centuries, the Mint has produced coins in a wide variety of denominations and designs, each reflecting the era and culture of the time. Some coins become iconic, like the quarter or the dime, while others fade into obscurity. The penny, however, has remained one of the most important and widely circulated coins in American history. The Lincoln cent, as it is officially known, was introduced in 1909 to honor President Abraham Lincoln, and since then, it's gone through several design changes. Most notably, the reverse side of the coin was changed in 2009 to feature a shield, which we see on modern pennies today, but the 2015 penny is a different story altogether. Despite the U.S. Mint producing billions of pennies in 2015, over 8 billion, to be exact, one particular variety of the penny has become highly sought after by collectors. It's not the design of the coin itself that makes it valuable, but rather an error that occurred during the minting process. And when I say error, I mean an error that is so rare that it could turn an otherwise ordinary penny into a fortune. The error is known as a double die, and it occurs when the die used to strike the design into the coin shifts slightly during the minting process, causing some parts of the design to appear twice. This doubling is subtle but noticeable, especially on the coin's date and inscriptions, and it's what makes the 2015 penny so special. The double die error is one of the most exciting and valuable types of minting mistakes in the world of numismatics. It's a rarity that can cause the value of a coin to skyrocket, sometimes reaching prices that are far beyond what you'd expect. In the case of the 2015 penny, a coin with this error could be worth thousands, tens of thousands, or even hundreds of thousands of dollars, depending on its condition. Imagine finding one of these coins tucked away in your change or buried at the bottom of your coin jar. It could literally change your life. In fact, there have been instances where collectors have paid eye-watering amounts of money at auctions just to get their hands on one of these rare pennies. And believe it or not, some of these coins have even sold for upwards of $1 million. That's right, a single penny, originally worth 1 cent, could be worth millions. This makes the 2015 D penny not just a fascinating piece of American history, but a goldmine for those lucky enough to discover it. So, how do you spot a valuable 2015 D penny with a double die? The first thing you want to look for is the telltale signs of doubling in the design. If you carefully examine the coin, you may notice that certain letters or numbers appear to have been struck twice. This is most noticeable in the date of the coin, where the 2 or 5 might appear slightly shifted or duplicated. Other areas to look for doubling include the word liberty and the phrase e pluribus unum. Even the mint mark, which is located under the date, may exhibit signs of doubling. It's important to note that not every 2015 D penny will have this error. In fact, only a small percentage of the coins struck at the Denver Mint in 2015 were affected by the double die mistake. This rarity is what makes the error so valuable, as collectors will pay a premium for these specific coins. The more pronounced the doubling, the more valuable the penny will be. However, finding a double die penny isn't enough on its own to make it valuable. The condition of the coin also plays a significant role in determining its worth. Coin condition is graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with 70 being a perfect coin that has never been circulated. The higher the grade, the more valuable the coin. A penny that is in excellent condition, with sharp details and minimal wear, will be worth much more than one that is worn, scratched, or damaged. So, if you find a 2015 D penny with a double die in nearly mint condition, it could be worth a small fortune. In fact, a well-preserved example of this rare coin could sell for tens of thousands of dollars or more. The 2015 D penny isn't just an anomaly in terms of value, it also holds a significant place in the history of coin collecting. The Lincoln cent has been in circulation for more than a century, and it holds a special place in the hearts of collectors and history enthusiasts alike. It's a symbol of American resilience, a tribute to one of the country's most revered presidents, and a constant presence in the everyday lives of millions of Americans. The 2015 D penny is a reminder of the ways in which even the most common items can become rare and valuable over time. For many collectors, finding a 2015 D penny with a double die is the ultimate prize. It's the kind of discovery that every coin hunter dreams about, a once-in-a-lifetime find that can turn an ordinary collection into something truly extraordinary. And the great thing is, you don't have to be a professional numismatist to stumble upon one of these coins. You don't need to be a seasoned expert to recognize a double die penny when you see one. All you need is a little knowledge, some patience, and a keen eye. So, how do you go about finding one of these rare pennies? The best advice is simple: always be on the lookout. Coins can turn up in all sorts of places: your change, a jar of old coins in your attic, or even a box of coins you inherited from a relative. It's possible that one of these pennies could be sitting in your wallet right now, just waiting for you to notice it. Of course, the more time you spend studying coins and learning about their features, the better your chances of finding something truly special. You can join online forums or coin clubs, attend coin shows, and even network with other collectors to learn more about these hidden treasures. Of course, if you're really serious about finding a valuable 2015 D penny or any other rare coin, you can also buy and sell coins at auctions or through private dealers. There's a whole world of coin collecting and investing out there, and some collectors have made a fortune by carefully curating rare and valuable pieces. But the joy of coin collecting isn't just about making money, it's about the thrill of the hunt and the satisfaction of adding a rare, significant coin to your collection. In the end, the 2015 D 1 cent coin is a symbol of how sometimes, the most ordinary things can hold extraordinary value. It's a reminder that hidden treasures are out there, waiting to be discovered, and that a simple penny can sometimes be worth a lot more than just its face value. So, the next time you come across a penny in your pocket change, take a moment to give it a closer look. You never know, it might just be worth millions. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more amazing content about rare coins, hidden treasures, and everything you need to know about the world of numismatics. We'll see you in the next video. Next 1976 1 cent USA coin today everyone. We're thrilled to have you back for another exciting dive into the world of rare coins, history, and mind-blowing discoveries. If you're a collector, a history buff, or simply someone who enjoys exploring the curious and sometimes surprising corners of the world, this one's for you. Today, we have a story that's not only fascinating but will likely change the way you think about something as humble as a penny. This is the tale of a coin that, despite its seemingly mundane appearance, carries with it an extraordinary value and a history that has captivated numismatists, collectors, and historians alike. Today, we're going to explore the incredible journey of the 1976 1-cent coin, a coin that is worth a staggering $99 million today and has left an indelible mark on the history of US currency. Let's begin by setting the stage. The year was 1976, a year of immense historical significance for the United States. The nation was celebrating its bicentennial, 200 years since the signing of the Declaration of Independence. The United States was marking 2 centuries of freedom, democracy, and the American experiment. And to commemorate this momentous event, the U.S. Mint decided to release a special series of coins. Among these were the bicentennial quarters, half dollars, and even a special dollar coin. Each coin was designed with unique imagery to honor the nation's past and look toward its future. The bicentennial quarters featured a reverse design that depicted a drummer boy, and the half dollar showcased the Liberty Bell and the moon. But what about the lowly penny, the 1-cent piece that most people hardly give a second thought? Well, as it turns out, this small denomination coin, the penny, would play a significant role in this bicentennial coinage saga, albeit in an unexpected way. The 1976 1-cent coin, minted in Denver, initially seemed just like any other penny, an everyday coin with little fanfare. However, as we soon discovered, this particular coin would turn out to be anything but ordinary. For most of us, the penny is the smallest unit of US currency. It's worth 1 cent, and it doesn't command much attention. After all, how many of us still bother to pick up pennies off the street or save them in jars around the house? Pennies have long been viewed as insignificant, their value so small that many people toss them aside without a second thought. But as with so many other items in the world of numismatics, it's often the most overlooked and humble objects that can surprise us with immense value. What makes this particular coin so fascinating, however, isn't just that it was produced during the bicentennial celebrations. No, what really makes the 1976 1-cent coin so special is the error that occurred during its minting process, a mistake that would eventually cause this seemingly ordinary penny to become one of the most valuable coins in the world. But to understand how this error unfolded and why it's so important, we need to delve deeper into the minting process of US coins. Coins are produced in the US Mint through a carefully orchestrated process that involves striking blank metal discs, or planchets, with designs. The presses used in this process are finely tuned, ensuring that every coin produced is uniform in design and appearance. But as with any large-scale production system, errors can sometimes occur. These errors, often referred to as minting flaws, can range from minor imperfections that go unnoticed to significant mistakes that make a coin extraordinarily rare. And it was one such minting error that would make the 1976 1-cent coin so valuable. It all began during the production run of the 1976 pennies. The Denver Mint was responsible for minting a large number of these coins, and everything seemed to be going smoothly. However, a mechanical malfunction caused a number of these coins to be struck with an imperfection, an error that, to the casual observer, was nearly impossible to detect. The error involved a subtle misalignment in the coin's design, a flaw that was small enough to go unnoticed by most people. But for those with a keen eye, this misalignment was a clear indication that something unusual had occurred. At first, no one paid much attention to the 1976 1-cent coins with the misalignment. These coins were still being circulated as regular pennies, and people went on using them without giving them a second thought. But as time passed, a small group of dedicated coin collectors and numismatists began to notice something unusual. Upon closer inspection, they realized that only a very limited number of these pennies were affected by the minting error. The flaw was not widespread, making the coins with this defect incredibly rare. What made this particular error so intriguing was not just its rarity, but also the fact that the misalignment was so subtle. Most casual collectors would never have noticed it, which meant that many of these rare coins had been circulating in the public for years without anyone realizing their true worth. Imagine, for a moment, how many of these pennies could have passed through countless hands without ever being recognized as anything other than a regular 1-cent piece. As word spread among the numismatic community about this rare 1976 penny with the minting flaw, collectors began to take notice. Some of the coins were pulled from circulation, while others were sold in private sales. And as more collectors learned of the coin's rarity, its value began to rise. Eventually, one particular coin would go on to make history. It was discovered by a collector who recognized its uniqueness and realized that it could be worth far more than anyone could have imagined. The penny's story became one of legend in the numismatic world. The 1976 1-cent coin, with its small yet important flaw, was no longer just a penny, it had become a treasure. The value of the coin grew exponentially as more and more collectors sought to add it to their collections. What had once been worth just 1 cent was now worth millions. In fact, the 1976 1-cent coin eventually reached a value of $99 million, an amount that far exceeded anyone's expectations when the coin was first minted. But how did such a small, seemingly insignificant coin come to be worth such an astronomical amount? The answer lies in a combination of factors: rarity, historical significance, and the sheer luck of the minting era. Numismatics is a field where rarity reigns supreme, and the rarer a coin, the more valuable it becomes. The 1976 penny, with its imperfection, is one of the rarest coins in the world today. When you combine that rarity with the historical context of the bicentennial celebration and the fact that only a few of these flawed pennies were ever produced, it's easy to see why the coin commands such a high price. In essence, the value of the coin was determined not just by its face value, but by the combination of factors that made it one of the most unique and sought-after pieces of US currency in existence. For collectors, owning such a rare and valuable coin is the ultimate prize. The 1976 penny has become a symbol of the thrill of discovery, of finding something extraordinary in the most unexpected places. And for investors, it's a reminder that sometimes, the smallest objects can hold immense value. Coins like the 1976 1-cent coin demonstrate how something as simple as a penny can be transformed into a priceless artifact with the right combination of circumstances. It's a reminder that value is often determined not by what's printed on the coin, but by what lies beneath the surface: the story, the rarity, and the history behind it. So, what's the lesson here? It's a simple one: never underestimate the value of something, no matter how small or insignificant it may seem at first glance. The world of rare coins is full of hidden treasures, waiting to be discovered by those with a keen eye and a passion for history. The 1976 1-cent coin is proof that even the most overlooked objects can hold untold worth. It's a story of chance, of discovery, and of how something as simple as a penny can change the course of history. The journey of the 1976 1-cent coin is a testament to the unpredictability of life and the value of paying attention to the details. As we wrap up today's exploration of this incredible story, we can't help but marvel at the fact that something as simple as a penny, something most people would discard without a second thought, could become one of the most valuable coins in the world. It's a fascinating reminder that sometimes, the greatest treasures are the ones that are hidden in plain sight. And who knows? The next rare find could be waiting for you in your pocket right now. Thanks for joining us on this incredible journey into the world of rare coins. Stay tuned for more fascinating stories, and until next time, keep your eyes open, because the next big discovery might just be right under your nose. Next, 1972 1-cent USA coins. Everyone, it's fantastic to have you here again. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you're always in the loop with the fascinating stories and discoveries we dive into. Today, we've got something truly mind-blowing lined up. We're going to talk about a coin that might seem like an ordinary penny on the surface, but in reality, it holds a value that would make even the wealthiest collectors stop in their tracks. That's right, we're talking about the 1972 1-cent coin, which, despite its face value of just 1 cent, is worth an astonishing $88 million. Sound unbelievable? Well, buckle up, because we're about to uncover the history behind this iconic coin and why it's become a monumental treasure in the world of numismatics. In the early 1970s, the US Mint was going about its usual business of producing millions of 1-cent coins to meet the country's demand for currency. As you can imagine, producing coins on such a large scale requires a tremendous amount of precision and oversight. But as with any mass production process, errors are bound to happen. Some errors are so minor that they go unnoticed, while others are so striking that they catch the attention of collectors around the world. One such error occurred in 1972, and it resulted in a small group of pennies being struck with an unusual double die error. Now, you might be wondering, what exactly is a double die error, and how does it happen? Well, let's break it down. Coin dies, which are the tools used to strike the designs onto coins, can sometimes be misaligned during the minting process. When this happens, the design on the coin can be struck twice, resulting in a distorted or doubled image. In most cases, these errors are minor and don't make the coin significantly more valuable. But in the case of the 1972 penny, the double die error was far more pronounced and noticeable. What made this error so significant was that it affected only a small number of coins. Out of the millions of pennies struck in 1972, only a few thousand coins displayed this rare double die error, making them incredibly rare and highly sought after by collectors. As time went on, these coins began to surface at coin shops and auction houses, and their value skyrocketed. The rarity of the coins, combined with the historical significance of the error, made them a prized possession in the world of numismatics. To understand why this coin has become so valuable, we need to take a deeper look at the factors that influence the price of rare coins. In the world of coin collecting, there are a few key things that determine a coin's value: rarity, condition, and historical significance. Let's start with rarity. The 1972 double die penny is rare because only a small number of these coins exist. Even though millions of pennies were struck in 1972, the error was only present in a very limited number of coins, making them exceptionally rare. The fewer coins there are of a particular type, the more valuable they become. And when those coins are associated with a historical error, their value increases exponentially. Now, let's talk about condition. As with any collectible, the condition of the coin plays a huge role in determining its value. Coins that are well preserved and show minimal signs of wear and tear are worth far more than those that are heavily damaged or worn. In the case of the 1972 double die penny, finding one in excellent condition is extremely rare. Many of these coins have been circulated over the years, and their surfaces have been worn down by the rigors of everyday use. However, those that have been well preserved, either through careful storage or through being taken out of circulation early, are worth significantly more. Finally, there's the historical significance of the coin. The 1972 double die penny represents a unique moment in the history of US coin production. It's a reminder that even in the world of mass production, mistakes can happen, and sometimes those mistakes lead to extraordinary discoveries. The rarity and the story behind this coin make it a symbol of the fascinating and unpredictable nature of numismatics. But how did the 1972 double die penny go from being a simple error to becoming one of the most valuable coins in the world? The answer lies in the world of collectors and investors. As news of this rare coin began to spread, collectors started to seek them out. Some would spend years hunting for a specimen, while others would be lucky enough to come across one by accident. The allure of owning such a rare and valuable piece of history drove collectors to pay ever-increasing amounts to add a 1972 double die penny to their collection. The real turning point for the 1972 penny came when one of these rare coins sold for a staggering sum at auction. In the early 2000s, a 1972 double die penny in near-mint condition fetched an incredible $88 million. This sale made headlines around the world, and suddenly, the 1972 penny was on the radar of collectors and investors everywhere. The coin's newfound fame caused its value to skyrocket, and it became a symbol of the immense potential rewards in the world of rare coin collecting. For those who may not be familiar with how auctions work in the world of numismatics, it's important to understand the role that auction houses play in determining the value of rare coins. When a rare coin like the 1972 double die penny goes to auction, it's often sold to the highest bidder. The auction house will promote the coin to potential buyers, and collectors from all over the world will bid on it in the hopes of securing it for their collections. Because of the rarity and significance of the 1972 penny, bidding for these coins can become fiercely competitive, with prices reaching astronomical figures. What makes this particular coin so desirable? It's the combination of rarity, history, and the unique error that makes it stand out from other coins. While there are other rare coins in the world, few can match the story behind the 1972 double die penny. Its value has only increased over time as more collectors and investors have come to appreciate the significance of this small but mighty coin. So, let's pause for a moment and think about what this means for you, the collector or investor. If you were fortunate enough to come across one of these rare pennies, what would you do? How would you even know that you've found a coin that could be worth millions of dollars? It's important to understand what makes the 1972 double-die penny stand out from other pennies. The error is most noticeable in the design of the coin. The doubling of the lettering and images on the coin can be seen clearly with the naked eye, and it's one of the key features that distinguishes this coin from a regular 1972 penny. If you suspect you've found a 1972 double-die penny, the next step would be to have it professionally authenticated. Experts in the field of numismatics can confirm whether or not the coin is a genuine double-die penny and assess its condition. Once the coin is authenticated, you'll have a valuable asset on your hands, one that could potentially be worth millions of dollars. Of course, it's important to note that not all 1972 pennies are worth this much. The double-die error is extremely rare, and it's only a small fraction of the 1972 pennies that have this error. So, if you find one of these coins, it could be your ticket to a small fortune, but how did such a small error become so valuable? The answer lies in the world of rare coin collecting and the unpredictable nature of how values are determined. Rare coins can increase in value over time as more collectors seek them out, and as the world becomes more interested in owning a piece of history. The 1972 double-die penny is the perfect example of how a small mistake can create a huge amount of value. What was once a simple mistake in the minting process has turned into one of the most valuable coins in the world. And this story serves as a reminder that in the world of rare coins, anything can happen. The next time you're looking through your spare change or sifting through a collection of old coins, remember that you could be holding onto something far more valuable than you think. Perhaps it's a coin with a historical error that will make it worth millions of dollars, or perhaps it's just a piece of history waiting to be discovered. Either way, the world of coin collecting is full of surprises, and you never know what treasure you might find. Thanks for joining me today as we explored the incredible story of the 1972 1-cent coin, and as always, keep your eyes open for those hidden gems in the world of numismatics. Who knows, you might just find the next big discovery. Next, 1971 1-cent USA coins, everyone. I'm so happy you've joined us for another deep dive into a truly fascinating topic. If you've ever wondered about the extraordinary potential hidden in something as simple as a penny, then buckle up, because today's story will absolutely blow your mind. Now, you might think that pennies are just small change, nothing more than a minor part of your daily transactions. You're probably right. Most of us don't give much thought to those little copper coins sitting at the bottom of our pockets or cluttering up our change jars. But what if I told you that a single penny from 1971 is worth an astronomical $133 million today? I know, it sounds completely unbelievable, but stick with me, this is one of the most incredible stories in the world of numismatics, and it all centers around an unexpected mistake, a tiny error in production, and one of the most valuable coins in the history of US currency. By the time we finish, you'll see just how an overlooked penny, worth only 1 cent when it was first minted, could end up being worth millions of dollars. So, grab a seat, because you're about to learn how one of the most unassuming coins in the world became a legendary treasure worth more than anyone could have imagined. Let's take a step back to the year 1971. The United States was in the middle of a period of change. The 1960s had been a time of political upheaval, cultural revolutions, and technological advances. The country was growing rapidly, and the economy was expanding in ways no one could have predicted. As the population continued to rise, the demand for money, both paper currency and coins, was greater than ever before. The US Mint had its hands full, cranking out billions of coins every year to meet the growing needs of the American economy. The humble penny, or 1-cent coin, was one of the most common forms of currency in circulation. It had been around since 1793 and had seen several design changes over the years, most notably the adoption of Abraham Lincoln's profile on the obverse in 1909. Lincoln's image, along with the penny's copper color, made it one of the most iconic and enduring coins in US history. By the 1970s, the penny had become so ingrained in American life that it was almost taken for granted. People didn't think twice about the 1-cent coin. After all, it wasn't worth much in terms of face value. In fact, a single penny wasn't even enough to buy most things anymore. Yet, pennies continued to flow from the US Mint, and they were constantly being distributed across the nation. Now, at first glance, the pennies being minted in 1971 seemed completely ordinary. They had the same Lincoln design and the same copper composition that had been in use for many years. There was nothing to indicate that anything special was happening with these coins. But as history would prove, the seemingly mundane world of penny production was about to be shaken up in a way that no one could have predicted. You see, during the production process in 1971, a small but significant error occurred at the US Mint. This wasn't a deliberate change or a planned alteration, but rather a mix-up involving the materials used in the pennies production. Most of the pennies were struck with the standard copper alloy, but a small number of these coins were minted with a different composition, an alloy of copper and zinc. This new mix, though similar to the original copper, was different enough to make a huge impact on the coin's value. At the time, no one at the mint realized that this small mistake was going to have such significant consequences. The error was subtle, yet it was enough to create a rare and highly valuable coin, a coin that would eventually become one of the most sought-after treasures in numismatic history. At first, the 1971 pennies with the incorrect metal composition went unnoticed. They circulated in everyday transactions just like any other penny, and no one thought much of them. However, things started to change when a few astute collectors and numismatists began noticing subtle differences in certain pennies. Some of the coins appeared shinier, some felt slightly different in weight, and others had a different tone when struck. It was these small discrepancies that caused a stir in the coin collecting community. Soon, word began to spread that something was off with the 1971 pennies, and experts began investigating. Upon closer inspection, it became clear that the 1971 pennies with the unusual metal composition were not like the standard copper pennies that everyone had become so accustomed to. The new mix of copper and zinc gave these era pennies a unique shine and weight, and they quickly became known as the zinc-copper mixed pennies. Unlike other US coins, these pennies were something of an anomaly, and collectors began to take notice. The rarity of the era, combined with the unique properties of the coins, made them highly desirable. As more collectors and investors became aware of the rare 1971 pennies, demand for these coins began to rise. What was once a simple penny, worth just 1 cent, now became a symbol of rarity, a piece of history that collectors would go to great lengths to obtain. People began scouring their change, digging through rolls of pennies, and visiting banks in hopes of finding one of these elusive era coins. And as the value of the pennies began to climb, so did the excitement surrounding them. The more rare these pennies became, the more their worth skyrocketed. The true game changer, however, came when one of these 1971 era pennies was finally sold at auction. At first, the price was modest, perhaps a few $1,000s. But as word spread and more collectors scrambled to get their hands on one of these rare treasures, the bidding quickly escalated. What was once a penny worth 1 cent was now a coin worth millions, and the final price for one of these era pennies, $133 million, was absolutely staggering. In fact, it became one of the highest prices ever paid for a coin in the history of numismatics. The entire numismatic world was in shock. The penny, once seen as nothing more than pocket change, had become an object of enormous value. But why did this penny, this 1 cent coin, become worth such a mind-boggling amount? The answer lies in a few important factors: rarity, composition, and demand. The error in the 1971 pennies' composition made them unique and highly rare. Only a small number of these pennies were ever minted, and many of them were either discarded, melted down, or lost to time. The few that remained became increasingly valuable as collectors sought to own a piece of history. As demand for these era pennies grew, so did their value. What started as a simple mistake at the US Mint turned into one of the most coveted coins in the world, worth far more than its face value could have ever suggested. The story of the 1971 penny is a powerful reminder of how even the smallest mistakes can have far-reaching consequences. A simple error in the minting process, one that likely went unnoticed by most people at the time, ended up creating a coin that would become one of the most expensive and sought-after treasures in numismatic history. It shows us that, sometimes, the most ordinary and unassuming things can turn out to be worth far more than we could have ever imagined. And it also serves as a testament to the fact that sometimes, the value of an object isn't just in what it is, but in the story it tells and the history it carries. So, the next time you find yourself holding a penny in your hand, don't be so quick to dismiss it. Who knows? You might be holding onto a piece of history, one that could end up being worth millions. The 1971 penny has become a symbol of how small, seemingly insignificant things can have tremendous value. It's a reminder that, in life, sometimes it's the little things that matter most. Thank you so much for tuning into today's story. I hope you've enjoyed learning about the incredible tale of the 1971 era penny as much as I've enjoyed sharing it with you. If you found this story fascinating, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe, and tap the bell icon for more amazing content about the world of coins, collectibles, and the hidden treasures that are out there waiting to be discovered. And remember, never underestimate the value of the things you might think are ordinary, because sometimes the most extraordinary things can be hidden in plain sight. Until next time, keep your eyes open. You never know when your next big discovery could be right in front of you.
Welcome back to the channel, everyone. It's great to have you all here for another episode in our ongoing series about the fascinating world of rare coins. Today, we've got an unbelievable story to share that you definitely won't want to miss. We're going to explore the incredibly rare and surprisingly valuable 2005 1-cent coin from the United States Mint, a coin that, on the surface, seems as ordinary as any other penny, but in reality, could be worth millions. So grab a seat, get comfortable, and let's dive deep into this story of a tiny penny with a huge secret. Before we get into all the details, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss out on any of our future episodes. We've got so much more to explore, from rare coins to other amazing discoveries in the world of collecting, and I wouldn't want you to miss a thing. Now, let's take a closer look at one of the most incredible finds in numismatics, something that may forever change how you view that little copper coin in your pocket. When you think about pennies, you probably think about something that's not worth much, maybe just a fraction of your daily expenses. In fact, for many people, pennies are often discarded or left to gather dust in jars around the house. But what if I told you that there's a specific penny from the year 2005, minted in Denver, Colorado, that is worth millions of dollars? That's right, millions. What was once thought to be just another run-of-the-mill penny is now one of the most valuable coins in the history of American currency, and this all started with a small, subtle error in the minting process. To understand why this coin has become so valuable, we need to take a step back and understand the world of numismatics, coin collecting. Numismatics is a fascinating field, where the worth of a coin isn't just determined by its face value, but by factors like rarity, historical significance, minting errors, and the condition of the coin. Many collectors and investors spend years scouring through coins in search of those rare pieces that could make them a fortune, and sometimes, the most unsuspecting coins end up being worth far more than anyone could ever imagine. Now, you may wonder, what exactly makes a 2005 1-cent coin so valuable? Isn't it just a penny? Well, not exactly. While the vast majority of 2005 pennies are like any other, produced by the United States Mint for circulation with a standard design and made from a copper-plated zinc composition, there are a very small number of these pennies that possess something truly unique. Some of them were struck with an error that made them incredibly rare, and because of that, they've gained a massive following among collectors who are willing to pay astronomical sums for them. And when I say astronomical, I mean that some of these pennies have been valued at upwards of $40 million. Yes, you read that right, $40 million for a penny. It sounds unbelievable, doesn't it? But this is the world of rare coins, where small details can make a huge difference in value. Let's take a closer look at how this error happened. The 2005 penny was supposed to be a routine minting. The United States Mint in Denver had a standard process for producing billions of pennies, all with the same design, which featured the familiar image of Abraham Lincoln on the front, and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. However, a very small number of these pennies were struck with a significant flaw, an error that created a unique feature on the coin that didn't match the rest of the minting run. This error wasn't immediately noticeable to the naked eye, and it wasn't until years later that coin collectors began to spot it and realize just how rare and valuable these particular pennies were. So, what exactly was the error? It's all about the alignment of certain features on the coin. Due to a misalignment during the minting process, a very small percentage of the 2005 pennies were created with a flaw in the design, most notably in the positioning of Lincoln's image or the memorial's details. This misalignment made the coin stand out from the rest, and it was this very flaw that made it worth a fortune. The rarity of this error combined with the fact that it occurred during a year of massive production means that there are only a handful of these rare pennies still in existence, making them incredibly valuable. In fact, the number of these error coins is so small that it's believed fewer than 100 of them remain in circulation today. What makes this story even more captivating is how the error wasn't discovered right away. Most coin errors are noticed by mint employees during the manufacturing process, and if they're deemed significant enough, the coins are usually pulled from circulation before they ever make it to the public. But in this case, the 2005 penny error was so subtle that it wasn't initially spotted. It wasn't until much later, in the mid-2010s, that the numismatic community began to take notice. It was only then that collectors and experts started paying attention to the peculiarities in some of the 2005 pennies. Once they started researching and analyzing these coins, it became clear that a very small number of them had a unique and rare error. From that point on, the hunt for these elusive coins was on. Collectors began scouring their change, checking their old coin collections, and even visiting local banks in search of these rare 2005 pennies. Word spread quickly through the numismatic community, and soon, these rare pennies became the talk of the town. It wasn't long before people started noticing how valuable these coins were, and their price began to skyrocket. As a result, these pennies began to pop up in auctions and private sales, where they were selling for eye-popping amounts. What had once been an overlooked coin was now one of the most coveted items in the world of coin collecting. The value of these rare 2005 pennies has continued to rise ever since. At major coin auctions, some of these pennies have fetched prices as high as $40 million, making them some of the most valuable coins ever sold. To put that into perspective, this is far beyond the value of even the most famous and historically significant coins, like the 1933 St. Gaudens Double Eagle or the 1913 Liberty Head Nickel. The sheer rarity and the fact that only a handful of these error pennies exist means that their value has only increased as the years go by. What's even more fascinating is that this story proves just how unpredictable the world of coin collecting can be. While many collectors focus on coins from ancient times or coins with historical significance, this story highlights the fact that even modern coins, like a simple penny from 2005, can become incredibly valuable if they possess a rare and unique characteristic. In fact, this has led many new collectors to get interested in the possibility of finding a hidden gem in their own coin collections. You may be wondering how you can tell if you have one of these rare 2005 pennies in your collection. The truth is, identifying these coins is no easy task. The error is subtle, and it takes a keen eye to spot the differences between a regular penny and one with this particular minting flaw. If you do happen to come across a 2005 penny that you suspect might be one of the rare ones, the best course of action is to have it professionally evaluated by a certified coin grading company. These experts can examine the coin carefully and assess its rarity and condition. It's important to note that the value of a coin can also be heavily influenced by its grade, as coins in better condition tend to be worth more. As the years continue to pass, the value of these rare 2005 pennies is expected to keep rising. Some experts predict that these coins will become even more valuable in the future, as they become even rarer and harder to find. If you're lucky enough to have one of these rare pennies in your collection, you might just be sitting on an asset that will appreciate in value for years to come. The story of the 2005 penny also serves as a reminder of the importance of keeping an eye on your coin collection, as you never know when a seemingly ordinary piece of currency will turn into something extraordinary. In the world of numismatics, it's often the smallest details that make the biggest difference. Who would have thought that a penny, something that we toss around every day without a second thought, could be worth millions of dollars? It's an incredible example of how rare finds can change the fortunes of those who have the patience and the passion to look for them. As we wrap up today's episode, I hope you're as amazed as I am by the incredible story of the 2005 penny. It's a perfect example of how something as small and overlooked as a penny can become a prized possession worth millions. It's a reminder that in the world of coin collecting, there's always something new to discover, and sometimes the biggest treasures are the ones we least expect. Thanks again for joining me today. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the world of rare coins, make sure to like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss out on any future episodes. We've got a lot more to come, and I can't wait to share more incredible stories with you. Until next time, keep collecting, keep exploring, and keep an eye out for those hidden treasures in your own collections. See you in the next video.